right, welcome in everybody. Andrew James with you for another Wayside Furniture Blend & Sons Studio C session. Tonight, we are honored to have Zach back home with us. He is here to celebrate the release of his 37th album, Expedition of the Heart. Very prolific. He's got a show at the Rialto Theater tomorrow night starting at 5 p.m. It will be in the living room there at the Rialto. And we're excited to have him back here. And Zach, welcome. It's good to see you again.
Oh, it's great to see you. Thanks for having me.
And 37 albums. How did that happen?
It just did. I've been making music for 26 years or so, something like that. And right around the pandemic, I had an opportunity to get my own recording software and understand how to use it. And since then, I probably released like 15 records. It's dangerous having that control in my own, house.
and that, much like you learning to play guitar, is all self-taught.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, I taught myself all of the music things. Just listening, learning, watching. Really trying to soak up whatever I can.
Okay.
All the time.
we'll get into a little bit more of that here in just a couple of minutes. Why don't we start us out with a song? What do you have for us?
Great. I think I'll start off with a song from Expedition of the Heart, my newest record. It's called Afterlight. A thousand sleepless nights, 1,000 empty days. Try as I might, it's hard to find a way. Well, as a little boy, I had a dream. I would grow up right, I'd be something. So I took my dream and brought it to life, to let it sing and let it shine. And everywhere I turn, I find a wall of greed, trying to break my heart, but it won't succeed. 'Cause I'll die trying to light the night sky and find, 'cause I am trying. You don't see the stars, but you see their light. There's no perfect path that climbs straight up the mountainside. There's rocks and stones and ticking time. So I hold my dream right by my side, 'cause it gives you things when you get tired. And everywhere I turn, I find a wall of greed, trying to break my heart, but it won't succeed. 'Cause I'll die trying to light the night sky. I'm fine, 'cause I am trying. You don't see the stars, but you see their afterlight. Afterlight. Oh. Oh. 1,000 sleepless nights, 1,000 empty days. Try as I might, it's hard to find a way. 'Cause I'll die trying to light the night sky. Fine, 'cause I am trying. You don't see the stars, but you see their afterlight. You don't see the stars, but you see their afterlight. You don't see the stars, but you see their afterlight. Ooh. Ooh.
Zach live in our Wayside Furniture Blend & Sons Studio C session. Track off the new album, his 37th album, Expedition of the Heart. Going to be celebrating the release tomorrow night with a living room show at the Rialto Theater starting at 5. You'll be there from 5 to 6:30. And as we mentioned, 37 albums, but you mentioned 26 years. First record, Delusions, back in 1999. We met not long after that with your second album, Turquoise Dreams. In fact, for those who haven't heard the story, my first ever live on-air interview was with Zach, and that was his first as well. And that has started a great friendship. Wasn't expecting this, but so many great songs that you put out over the years. I can remember seeing you at the coffee shop in Medina there on the square, Cool Beans Cafe, your dad running sound. And I remember one time while we were still dating, my now wife, we've been married it'll be 23 years this year. I got to remember that. She'll get mad at me. But she once told me, she goes, if this doesn't work out, I'm going to go talk to Zach. So a lot of those songs, we were talking a little bit beforehand, have kind of grown with you over the years. What are some of your favorite songs to keep in the catalog or bring back from time to time when you're out playing live?
It all depends. I mean, songs hit me for different reasons at different times. One of the early songs that I wrote was a song called Sweet Bird. Mm-hmm. And I wrote it with a good friend of mine who is a guitar player that really took me under his wing. And we used to work at this little music shop in Sagamore Hills, I think it was, little tiny off the beaten path thing. And it was the greatest job ever because there was really almost no customers. So I just got to spend the whole day like playing the instruments in the store and writing songs. And so we had some moments of getting to write some songs together. And he taught me a lot about writing. And at the time that we were writing that song, it was sort of beyond my skill level to be able to play it. So I really had to struggle to figure out how to do it. And that song always sticks with me. To this day, it's still one that I enjoy playing. And since that record came out, it reached its 25th anniversary of existence. So I re-recorded all those songs. And I think that was my favorite one to re-record and try out in a different way. And it was a lot of fun to grow with it.
Yeah. One of the songs that I remember seeing you live, because a little bit of dancing up here, but you really used to get into it. Used to be just so much fun watching Zach up there dancing. Girl in a Corner is a personal favorite. Love to watch you even do like Watchtower or John Lennon's Imagine. Because I know he was a big influence on your
John was huge.
Your music as well. So
Yeah.
then fast forward a couple of years from there, and Brunswick, August 25th, 2001. You're playing in a little pavilion in Plum Creek Park at my wedding. And the song that my wife requested, one of her favorites, is Lavender. What's the story behind Lavender?
Lavender, is a song that I wrote about a friend of mine in high school who was a classmate, friend, and fan. She was at the time like head of the fan club. Kind of, there was a couple of folks that sort of did that sort of thing and would organize other students to come out to coffee shops and things. And there was a tragic accident, and she passed away in a car accident. And so that song came about through that, and just wanting to express a little bit of the grief and emotion of that experience. So it's always been kind of a song that comes up for me as being like a very comforting moment. And it's been a song that was one of my aunt's favorite songs, and so she had requested that I play that for her as she was in hospice care and at her deathbed. And so it's been a song that has been with me in really, challenging times and beautiful times. And I think that's a really special thing when it can equally be beautiful and enjoyed at both weddings and funerals. And it still brings up the same amount of comfort in either.
Yeah, that's beautiful. And that was the song that the bridesmaids walked down the aisle to. So would you play that for us?
I will do my best. I see you smiling from here through the dawn of the years, so clear to me, and I wouldn't give it away, the person you made is perfection. You are never alone, someone's thinking of you. You're never alone, someone's thinking of you. Take a ride down the street and face what you think you need to see, and I'll drive if you like and let you just ride. You know I only want you to know you are never alone, someone's thinking of you. You're never alone, someone's thinking of you. You are momentum. You are the one to keep. You are momentum. I see. I see you smiling from here through the dawn of the years, so clear to me, and I wouldn't give it away, the things that you say for yesterday. 'Cause you are never alone, someone's thinking of you. You're never alone, someone's thinking of you. You're never alone, someone's thinking of you. You're never alone, someone's thinking of you.
Need to catch my breath after that one. That collective pause there at the end, that kind of sums it all up right there. Zach, live in Studio C here at the Summit. Andrew James with you. I didn't think it was going to be this tough to do this interview tonight. We've known each other for so long, but we've become really good friends over the years. I don't know, I'm just kind of wanted to get into the Big Love Network, but I know that kind of stemmed from the Evening with Chuck that you started after your dad passed in 2006. And I can still see the picture that you've got on your website, your dad running sound. Community, equity, justice, that has become that was a focus for a long time. I mean, your dad really pushed you to do the music, but you really saw a bigger need in the community, and that's where Big Love came out of. Why don't you tell us a little bit about that? Is that still in existence, the Big Love Network?
It is. Yeah, the Big Love Network still exists and operates. We don't really put on a big festival event at the moment, but we do operate within the community. We work on a lot of environmental justice issues and issues of equity and health equity. A lot of it through the framework of arts and culture, but also a lot of things like food forests and making sure people have food and the skills necessary to grow and to sustain our planet and our home and our community. So that's where most of the effort we've been focusing on has been. And yeah, it all grew out of Evening for Chuck, and I can't remember exactly what came first, but there was somewhere around that time I had started something called the Akron Peace Project that was an opportunity to find ways that we can connect with each other and with our environment to build more community, to build more connection, because I really believe the more that we are in community, the more that peace exists and the more the opportunities for peace exist. And it's an easy thing to think of like big ideas like that as being like these really impossible things. Like you can't fix it, the systems and all the things and nations of the world. And there's a lot that we can do just in our own circles and our own ripples and our own selves. And those things shift and change and put ripples out that then make the bigger things much easier to change. And miracles happen through those everyday interactions and those everyday moments. So the Peace Project kind of started with doing those things, trying to make some kind of little dent in fear. And it morphed and changed over the years and adding in some other folks. There was a little core group of us that converged at the perfect little moment, and Big Love grew out of that effort. And so we had some big festival events that was the festivals were just aimed to bring people together and to help people support people in their expressions. So whatever that looked like, a lot of artistic expressions, community expressions, social justice expressions, and it grew from there.
Yeah, and the events too were, as you said, environmental justice, zero waste events, which is not an easy task, trying to organize all that.
Yeah, I mean, zero waste events can be challenging for 50 people, and we would have 4,000 people, and we got to a point where we were writing like guides for the city on how to do that and for other organizations. And at the time that we were doing it, we were the biggest zero waste event in Akron. The marathon was the other one that was kind of there with us. So we were really leading the way with a lot of that. We helped Port Tracker for a number of years as they were trying to make their efforts happen. So that's the sustainability side of it has always been a thing. I feel like, we can do really cool things and we don't have to destroy the planet while we do it. We can create community and we can celebrate. And that's an amazing thing that we should be doing. And we can also do that in a way that builds rather than takes away.
And I think that kind of leads into where you are today, like with the kirtan and the meditation and the yoga. and just helping people to be uplifted and engaged in things, whether they're dealing with grief or they're dealing with injustice or equity issues, whatever it might be. And are you doing weekly chanting? Because you've done 6 Kirtan records. I guess the Jaime series, 1 through 6. Any plans for any further volumes of that coming out anytime?
Yeah, I have another one that's going to come out sometime this year. I'm hoping for the summer. That's my goal with it. It's, again, so nice to have control of the recording process. So I'll have like 3 or 4 records come out this year probably. But I got really into meditation. I've always been into meditation since high school. I think again, the Beatles being a big influence, and want to do everything that they were doing. And I was just like, meditation, cool. And so I got really into meditation, and it's been a pretty big life changer for me. And through that I found yoga, and through that I found kirtan, or like a sacred chanting. And just the fact of being able, it really was a big twist for me to realize that music could be something more. There was another tool in the toolbox of music, where it didn't have to just be like dance and fun, or like this sad, heavy moment or something. But music could be a meditation, and music could be something that could help bring about calmth and wellness, in ourselves. And then as we do it together, amazing things happen when we sing together and we chant together, or whatever that is. I mean, just singing together, it synchronizes up, our hearts start beating in the same rhythm, and we just have this whole beautiful big experience that's beyond ourselves. And like all music can do that, and then when the intention of the music is that, it goes even beyond and even more powerful. So it's been something I've been really passionate about ever since I came into it. And so I was doing weekly chantings on Facebook for many years, and they're not weekly anymore, but I do them still here and there.
Yeah, the one I caught the other day, Om Devi, and I'll let you take the third word there, Namaha Jaime.
Yeah, Shalaputri.
Yeah. Would you mind doing that one for us, to give us an example of exactly, if it's possible, just to kind of show how exactly that works?
Sure, I can give it a try.
Okay.
You'd like the Om Devi?
Yeah.
Okay. So I did put out a record called Shyla many years ago, and it was a record that I recorded in the Tetons in Wyoming, which is like my sacred space. My sort of, even though I wasn't born there, it's like my homeland, I guess, if I can say that. And so I'd gotten to a point with music where I'd made a lot of music and was touring all the time, and didn't really know what was next, and was just sort of in one of those beautiful moments of life where you're sort of wondering, does anything that I do matter? Are people listening? What's the point of all this? And so I decided that I would go into my favorite places in the mountains with my guitar and just write and see what happened. And so I put this whole record, it was a double record that came out of it. And Om Devi was a chant that also sort of grew around that time. And it was like the overarching theme that held the record together and me together. And it's the words are Sanskrit, but it's an ode and an homage to the daughter of the mountains, or seeing like the divine in the mountains. And that spoke so deeply to me. So I put it to music, and I will see if I can do it right now. Shalaputriye Namaha. Om Devi 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 Shalaputriye Namaha. Jai Ma, Jai Jai Ma, 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 Jai Ma, Jai Jai Ma. Om Devi Shalaputriye Namaha. 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 Jai Ma, Jai Jai Ma, 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 Jai Ma, Jai Jai Ma.
Zach, live in our Wayside Furniture Blend & Sons Studio C here at the Summit FM, and I love the look of peace on your face during that. That was beautiful. And that smile right there is the most infectious smile. That smile has never changed over the years, from the very first time I met you till today. It lights up a room. And we talked a little bit beforehand, and we are doing something different after today's Studio C. We've got a bit of a wellness workshop, or an activity, if you will, and helping folks deal with grief. As Sarah talked beforehand, a lot of your music, and you even talked about it here, I won't say is inspired, but it's a way for you to deal with grief in your life. We talked about your dad, Chuck, passing in June of 2006. Why don't you explain the significance of the boa on your microphone stand for those who might not know?
Yeah, so I typically have a boa, an orange boa, on my mic stand. So I'm very grateful that this was able to happen this evening. But had a big friend and a huge fan in the very amazing Marilyn Stroud, who was associated with this radio station for a very long time, and don't even remember exactly how our paths crossed. Some music event somewhere. She was a huge music fan, and she became like an instant friend of the family. She was really there for my mom a lot whenever my dad was going through cancer and passed, and she was at like every show, and she would outdance anybody else while in heels.
Yeah, like 6-inch stilettos.
Yeah. And she was just such an amazing human being, and such a great just friend and force of nature. And she used to wear these all the time. That was kind of her signature look. And so after she passed, she had given me one And so I have tried to make sure that it's on my mic stand at every mic stand that I get around.
Yeah, and that's the one that she used to wear during the membership drives. She always put that on every spring, every fall. It wasn't a membership drive till Marilyn came in her orange and blue. And in fact, we even have a pair of her heels, the orange and blue felt. I think there's a little green, but yeah. Unfortunately, we lost Marilyn February 2018, and then a couple of years later, in July of 2020, your mom passed away, which was kind of the precursor, I guess, to your album Guideline, which came out in 2021. Why don't you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah. My mom passed, and she was pretty much the last of my family, my blood family. Had a very small family beforehand, and that was how it went. And it was she was not in great health, but it was not something that was really expected. So it kind of came out of the blue, and it was in the middle of the pandemic. So it was just a very challenging experience to not only lose my mom, we were super close. So it was like my mom, a really good friend, big fan. She would come to like every show, and with Marilyn would outdance everybody else. And then, go through the pandemic. I don't know if anyone else experienced some loss during the pandemic, but it's a whole different type. Like grief is different for everybody, and it's a really intense journey no matter when and where it happens. But then you have the pandemic, the parameters of like you can't interact with other people, or you can't see that person, or whatever it went through. And so I found that a lot of the grief that I had to go through and the grieving that I dealt with was it was all on my own. I didn't have any people I could turn to. My community was sort of, behind Zoom walls and distanced, and it's not an ideal way to grieve. I don't think we're meant to grieve alone. So part of the intensity of that process and trying to figure out all the things that came about, not only dealing with my mom, but then, just the pandemic's on, so I'm not playing music as much, and so like identity and like, am I a musician? What's going on? Like all the things that I think many people felt in some way or another, all were converging at that time. And so I couldn't write for a while. It took me a little bit of time to figure out how to write, because it was just like too much, overstimulated, just shutting down. Like it's not easy to write like in panic attacks. So you have to like get through that moment. And then there was a time where I just saw my guitar, and I was like, we have not connected in weeks now. And so I just needed to sit, and in sitting, just like songs would start just pour through. I don't think I can take any credit for any of them. They just were there, and it was an opportunity for me to express some aspect of just the grief. And a lot of times songs for me are not really something that I'm, it's nice that I can like sing it to other people, but they're usually songs that like are sung to me. Like I need to hear these things. Like I need, like it's the voice talking to me saying like, it's okay. Like you're supported, surrounded, you're loved. And the fact that then I can share that with anybody else is just such a blessing and a great gift. So at that point in time, I wrote a good chunk of that record, sort of all came out, and a friend of mine heard me do one of the songs on like Facebook Live, and was like, we need to record that. Like, let's get this recorded. And so the pandemic was in enough of a spot I felt like I could go over, and we just hashed out a whole record and recorded stuff, and started learning how recording worked, and became a very quick student of like, I need to do this myself. I can figure it out. And just that process was such a big opening and sort of, one of those big moments in life of being able to express some of the grief. I think that record is one of the most personal records that I've ever done. Very, very vulnerable record all around, and then gave me the tools in the process to be able to express myself more and record more of my stuff, and be able to do it myself in my room, and not need other folks or not need the money for studios and all those kinds of things. And I could really start writing and expressing myself as ways that I always wanted to, but never really thought I could, because there was always, well, I've got to get this many songs together to go into a studio, and then it's going to cost me this much, and then you have to have like the financial plan of like, how am I going to make that money back, and all those things. And to not have any of that stuff and just be able to be with music and just express and let the music come through. And I wasn't trying to mold anything, or I wasn't trying to like specifically say anything. It was just, this needs to come out, and this is healing my own heart. And hopefully if it does anything more than that, then that's gold. Like just the healing of my own heart is where I'm at, of like really being with music, and music is this incredible gift to do that. So that record specifically was the big thing that launched me into the ability to take music more into my own hands and be able to really push and grow myself, like learning how to play bass and keyboards and all sorts of other instruments, and how to produce and compose music. And it's opened up a whole different process for me that I didn't have prior to that. So I'm very, very grateful that is one of the blossoms that grew up out of that deep well of grief.
Yeah, I can relate to the grief. We lost my mother-in-law April 2020, the Monday after Easter. Oof. And it was difficult because, go to the hospital, she had to go by herself. My father-in-law couldn't go with her. They'd been together 43 years. So I know exactly where you're coming from. What was that song that your friend said, you've got to record that? What was the song that kind of set you on this journey of not only healing your heart, but also expanding your mind and your ability, and kind of down the rabbit hole of recording, so to speak?
Yeah, there were two songs. He started off with, he's like, let's just record these two songs and see what happens. Like, we don't need to, think about a record or anything like that. Just like, let's start there with those two songs. And there was a song called Blurry, and then a song called Guideline. And those were the two that really kind of cemented the whole record. And as soon as we'd finished them, we're like, yeah, there's a whole record here, and there's way more that needs to be said and conveyed than just those two songs.
Yeah, and it was kind of interesting to me. I got taken aback when you said that you didn't write for a time, because I can remember your dad encouraged you to write a song every day. Whether you finish it, it's good, bad, whatever, but just keep writing and keep. That was early on. Do you still, you're 37 albums in. Do you still do that?
I do. I write a lot. I don't know if I write every day, but I do write a lot. It's very cathartic, and it's just beautiful. I think all writing is something that you have to just do all the time and not concern yourself about whether it's good or bad or what it is or what it isn't. Just like, it just needs to come out. And you sort of check in, like, where am I at today? Write something like, all right, that's where I was at today. Cool. And then tomorrow, this is where I'm at. And sometimes those things are really beautiful and they resonate the second day, or they resonate later. And you're like, okay, I think that's something that I want to do something with. And sometimes it was like, that was just where I was at. I love how Rick Rubin puts it, of like, when you create something, you're just creating like a diary entry. It's a journal entry. And so that's where you are at that moment. That's your journal entry. And you're not caring about what anybody else thinks, because who has the ability to judge your journal entry? And so it's such a freeing thing to just write a lot and see where it goes. And sometimes things turn out really beautifully, and sometimes they're just the expression at the moment.
Yeah. I was just thinking back here is like, yeah, it's a musical journal, and I would love to take a trip through that, because I'm sure we happen to be our own worst critics. So some of the things that you're like, okay, that was the expression for today, but maybe it doesn't resonate 2 or 3 days down the road. But I would be kind of curious just to see what didn't resonate. Because everything that has come out of you musically has been beautiful that I've known. So,
well, thank you.
Would you play one of the tracks off Guideline for us?
I'd love to. And that's such a thank you. What a beautiful compliment that the songs resonate and you find them beautiful. I hope that what comes through me can resonate. And if it does, that is amazing. So, all right, this is Guideline. It's been really fascinating, again, because of the pandemic, life changed. So I recorded a ton. I've been releasing tons of stuff. Like, I don't know, I think I had 5 records out last year or something. Like, the amount that's come out has been large, and the shows are like 4 a year now or something. It's like it went from like 260 shows to like 4, which is a very different life change. And so it's unusual to have songs that like don't have a lived experience with them. Like they're not in my fingers the same way that like some of my older stuff would be, that I played 2,000 times, like Lavender that I would play like every set for years and years. And now I have this like 15 records worth of material that have maybe 10 of those songs have been played live, and everything else is just, it lives in the digital world. And, it came through and it's gone, and I'm moved on, and I don't really have the opportunities to be on a stage as much. And so I really am grateful that this song can have a life tonight. Breathe out, oh mama, no need to hang on. A lifetime of laughter, bright light of song. Breathe out, oh mama, I won't let go of your hand. These tears, my mantra, I fall, but I will stand. Every dawn and every breath you live on, every dream, all the fire of my bones, and every dance, every flower, every spotted fawn. Now you truly know what it means to be home. Take to new heights. Your love's my guideline. Breathe out, oh mama, though my pain burns me alive. Tonight is a karma. Heartbreak is worth your flight. And every dawn and every breath you live on, every dream, all the fire of my bones. Every dance, every flower, every spotted fawn. Now you know what it truly means to be home. So take to new heights. Your love is my guideline. Every dawn and every breath you live on, every dream, all the fire of my bones. Every dance, every flower, every spotted fawn. Now you know what it truly means to be home. So take to new heights. Your love's my guideline. Take to new heights. Your love is my guideline. My guideline. My guideline. Oh, my
Zach live in our Wayside Furniture Blinden Son Studio C here at the Summit FM. I'm Andrew James, and that is Guideline, the title track to his 2021 album, and beautiful tribute to your mom. And the video, I believe, for that one has got all the pictures. It was a great video to be able to watch and pay tribute, but also, you know, it gets you right here in the heart, just especially knowing your mom the way we did. But here we are, you know, started out with Delusions, as we talked about 26 years ago. And tomorrow night, Rialto Theater, the living room at 5 o'clock, your 37th album, Expedition of the Heart. And you mentioned, you know, now you're living in Wyoming, originally from Brecksville. We consider you home here in Akron. But now you are out in the Teton Mountains. And I love the quote. You said you're a child of the mountains, and the quote is, soul hewn from the rocks and stones. Mm-hmm. And I love that. You have family out there. You used to go visit, and now you're out there pretty much full time. Mm-hmm. What is it that has drawn you out? I mean, the pictures that you've posted online are absolutely beautiful, and I'm sure they don't do it full justice.
Yeah, nothing can do it justice. Nothing can do nature justice, but being with nature. Yeah, the Tetons is a very special place. There's something really sacred about that land and those mountains. I feel it on a spiritual level. I feel it on a deep emotional level. I feel like almost a duty of mine to be there and to be with that land and holding space for the whole ecosystem in some kind of way. So that's one of the main reasons that I'm out there. Also, my last blood relative is my aunt, who I have a really great relationship and is an amazing human being. And so she's out there, and she's getting ready to retire, and so helping her with that whole life process. So those are the things that have really drawn me out, and just being there. I love so much of the mountains. Just being, you know, I mean, any place where there's like wilderness, like actual wilderness, is just so stirring to me. And to be able to sort of wake up and look out my window and be like, oh, there's 4,000 elk right there. Like, not far away, not in a zoo, not like on TV, but like I can walk through them. Like, I wouldn't suggest it, but like it's right there, you know, in places where there's things like bears and wolves, and, you know, it's like just, you have a whole respect. Your respect for life, like, I think, really changes when you have moments where you're in a wilderness that, like, you know, you're not in control of like anything that's happening, and the weather could change in a minute. And so, like, that is a beautiful awareness that arises when it's sort of like life and death become a much closer companions than sort of like, you don't think about a lot of those things living in cities. I mean, there's other concerns, but for the most part, you know, you're not really worried about the weather. You're not really worried about what nature's doing, except for here and there, like a major storm comes in or something. But in those spaces, like, it's just, you really, I feel much more connected to my life, to existence, to nature, and to just the cycles that happen. And I could speak to that for like hours. I don't think you probably want to hear it for hours, though.
Well, one of your songs off Shiloh, Moran, when I hear you talk about, the lyrics in that, and that one to me kind of paints the picture of kind of you being that, as you said, that child of the mountains. Was that really kind of I think Shiloh was probably really inspired by being out there. I mean, is that kind of where it all started from?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I sat myself down in different spots that were really special to me and wanted to see kind of what the land wanted to say or what my emotion, energy wanted to come out. Tuned my guitar all funky so that it would, like, my rational brain wouldn't be able to do what it's been doing, and like I had to rewire that. And so, like, didn't know what I was even doing, what chords I was playing, what notes I had to like figure it out. And so it became this just expression. That whole record was just sort of this expression flowing through, and the beauty and the curiosity of, a new way of looking at my instrument, and also interacting with the space and wanting to honor all those spaces the best that I could.
Oh, very cool. Was that kind of the same idea with Expedition of the Heart, or what was the idea for that one, the inspiration?
Yeah, it's a similar thing, except for I went to my heart and sat there and tried to figure out like how to honor those spaces and how to work through a lot of those spaces. It's been really interesting few years. I think a lot of people have experienced a lot of things, and it's like, personal levels, emotional levels, friends, communities, environment, politics, all the things of just like so incredibly overwhelming. And I needed an opportunity to go in and just explore what was going on in my heart and see what was making sense to me, what was speaking to me, what I needed to hear, what could be shared, what anything that like my little voice could do to bring something to somebody else. So that record was that for me, a lot of time sitting with all those emotions and the things I was kind of like, I don't really want to deal with this right now. And just being like, nope, we're going to do it. We're going to deal with it and sit with it and try to write about it in some way. Some of them, a little bit deeper than others, but it's, that was the hope for that record.
Yeah, that's where you were at that moment, that journal entry.
Yeah, it was that journal entry, that little snapshot, that little moment of time that said, here's where I was, trying to go through mental health challenges and find health and healing. And that record was a big step in that process.
Well, I'm looking forward to hearing the full album, your 37th album, Expedition of the Heart. You'll be celebrating that tomorrow night at the Rialto Theater in the living room at 5 o'clock. We got time for one more song here. I don't want to hold up the activity afterwards for too much longer here, but would you be willing to do Moran for us?
I would love to. It's going to take a second of tuning, which is everyone's favorite thing to hear.
See, they always talk about like ZZ Top had an odd tuning. That's why people can't easily play it. So that's what we're doing here. And I got to say, too, we had talked about the Beatles. I know John Lennon was a big influence, and, they're a huge influence in you. I see you now more of a combination of John Lennon and George Harrison. That's kind of where I see it.
Wow, those are big shoes. Thank you. That's just to be mentioned in the same sentence is a huge honor. Yeah, they both have been inspirations to me in a lot of different ways. I mean, that's the beauty of the Beatles, is like they just held so many things and so many different inspirations and opportunities. And so I learned a lot from John of how to use your music for a force for good in the world and to try to say something positive with it and mobilize people for peace and love. And George wrote an awful lot about the soul and the spirit. And so I think those two things do meld in my life quite a bit. Hey, I think I'm in tune. Cool. So yeah, I sat down. That was one of the goals for me, was to put my guitar into a very weird tuning so my brain would have to function in a different way and my hands would have to function in a different way. And I think they did. forged in the fire of molten stone, caverns of desire. This heart was born, hewn from the spires that sought to reach higher and higher. An amplifier formed of snow and limestone, called upon the choir of rocks as it arose and arose to rewire all that was known before. The center of elation was at the top of Moran. All my quotations are more stone than man. Adaptations, reflections as you stand. The celebration of heart and heartland, scented from Moran. Ooh, scented from Moran. Jackson Lake sits at your feet, still the ways of your devotee, covered in clouds or blue sky bound. You are bound to feel all that was known still soars. Center of elation lies at the top of Moran. All my quotations are more stone than man. Adaptations, reflections as you stand. The celebration of heart and heartland, scented from Moran. Scented from Moran. Sky to shore, you are a bridge calling down mother with mother's kiss. Sky to shore, season's thread. You say more than words unsaid. Center of elation as at the top of Moran. All my quotations are more stone than man. Adaptations, reflections as you stand. The celebration of heart and heartland. The celebration of heart and heartland. The celebration of heart and heartland, scented from Moran. Oh, scented from Moran. Scented from Moran. Oh, scented from Moran.
Zach live here in our Wayside Furniture Blend & Sons Studio C. I love that song, and I believe, wasn't that one recorded with guys from the Rialto? Seth and Nate, did they do that one? I know Bridges in Time was another one.
Bridges in Time was the Rialto. I don't. They were involved more in the periphery of Shiloh.
Okay. Yeah, but you are going to be at the Rialto Theater tomorrow night, 5 o'clock, celebrating your 30. It boggles my mind. Your 37th album, Expedition of the Heart. I think you've got more albums than you've got years on Earth at this point. So, and I could keep you here for hours and just make requests. I think the last time I saw you was at Wadsworth Brewing, and there was a decent crowd there. But you know, when you're in a setting like that, you know, from playing coffee shops and things, you're just kind of there in the background. But you know, it was great because anybody got any requests? And I'm like, okay, how greedy do I get? So it's so great to see you again. Thank you for coming in, and thank you for being a part of our wellness activity that we've got tonight and sharing your music. And you got to bring more than 4 shows back to Akron, man. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I really appreciate it.
One more time, Zach, here at the Summit.